Well, it's time to start thinking about the top of the curved Blockfront Lowboy, and I need 33.5 inches wide by 21 3/4 deep, and I don't have any cherry that's quite that wide. Need about 22 inches. So what I've decided is to resaw a piece of 8/4 here and book match it. So this is 11 3/4 inches wide, so that'll give me the 23 inches when it's glued together. And hopefully we can mill it flat and get a good 3/4 out of it. And so we're going to try and resaw this on my big saw. So this is the result of the resaw. So we've got two panels here, and I've decided to match them this way with the figure in the center and some straight grain then, or straighter grain then on either side. So this is only really about an inch wider than it needs to be. So I've got to join the ends and then get both of them flat, and then we'll glue it up and get the panel to size. I ended up getting about an inch out of both boards. The resaw was very accurate. Well, after gluing up the Lowboy top here and getting it nice and flat, I used my crosscut sled here to square up the two sides, and I had to do the ripping first to get it between, because this is set up for 22 inches and it's 21 3/4. So right now we have a nice flat square top, and I've picked the better of the two sides, which I think is this one, for the upside. And now we've got to put the curves on the front of here to match the front of the dressing table. So I'm going to use this drawer blade that I had left over as a template, and I just got to get it centered here on the board, and then draw a pencil line across this, and I can cut it out on either the table saw or with a saber saw. So then once that's done and cleaned up, I've got to put the edge all the way around this particular top, and then lastly I have to carve what I call baby butt corners on the 4 corners, and then we'll be done with the top. Well, I used a saber saw or jigsaw to cut out the pattern along here, and it's a bit rough. It has to be cleaned up with sandpaper and files, and once we get it cleaned up, then we'll be ready for putting on a edge. Well, while the top is being glued up, I thought I'd take a crack at the drawer hardware here, and what we've got are pulls and escutcheon plates and posts. So these are from Ball & Ball, and they're nice and flat, but the problem is we need them curved. So this has to be bent like so. So what I've got here is a block of wood that is a tighter radius than the drawer fronts, and what I'll do is use this strap clamp to strap them down and when they're let loose, then they kind of spring back a little bit, and that should fit this. So we'll take a look at that. Well, I've got the straps on here now, and I've got them as tight as I can get them, and you can see it's got the escutcheon plate curved over, and you can hit it with a dead blow hammer a little bit. That helps get the brass to relax a little bit, and I could leave it on there for a longer time, but don't really need to. Once it's bent, it's bent. And you can see that it's come back a little bit already, and it fits on here pretty good. Actually, it's a little bit too much bent, but the posts will push it down and flatten it out. So now the next thing to do is figure out how to drill the posts at a 15-degree angle, because they've got to go in like so. And because of that, the bales, they have to be bent, because the posts are out at an angle, so these have to be bent, and they're much thicker than the brass. So I'd done it before. You can actually see the indentations from, so I put the strap clamp on here and start to bend them back, and then hit them with a mallet so that they bend down. Well, this is how I decided I was going to drill the 15-degree holes into the drawer fronts. So I had this box that I made years ago for the drill press, and what it allows me to do is I swing the drill press head around the back, and it allows me to drill long pieces. In this particular case, they're not so long, but they have to be at a 15-degree angle. So what I did is I set up my square at 15 degrees and laid it in here and drew a line there, and then cut a piece of wood, scrap wood there, so that the drawer could sit on there, and I could line it up with the hole, turn it around, line it up with the other hole, and drill the hole. So what we have here is one of the practice drawer fronts. So we're going to give it a shot and see how well it works. So there's the two holes, and now we'll see if it fits. So we'll see how well we did here. So I've got the one curved plate, and I did bend one single of the bales, and you can see it, the ends are twisted there. So we'll put a ball in there and another one in here. It was in there. And now that one's out, so we'll have to hold it together. And the posts are just long enough, or else it'd have to take some more material or countersink them. And of course it never goes smoothly when you're recording. Here it is. That's a pretty good fit, and you got some. It does come up. It gets tight right there, but doesn't really matter, and it's nice and flush against the drawer front. So it looks like we got a method for doing it. The reverse drawer front is will be done this way, and I'll have to put a different cradle underneath, but still a 15 degree, and it goes that way instead of these that go in. So I think that looks pretty good. How did I know it was 15 degrees? Well, I watched my old video, and I mentioned in there that it was a 15 degree, so I didn't have to measure it and figure it out this time. So after the practice drawer front, I'm ready for the real thing here. So we'll just line it up. I previously marked where I want the holes on here. And only 4 more to go. So I'm mounting the hardware today. So here's a bail, and I've got it clamped onto my block here, and then you just have to hit it with a dead blow hammer a couple times, and it's now bent to the appropriate diameter. And I've drilled the holes at an angle that's the 15 degree, and I've already bent the escutcheon, and now just flip on these nuts here. There is a rush, there is a thrill of not knowing what's going to happen. But I use the form for both the bending the escutcheon and bending the bail. In improvisation, it seems like even more is at stake because you can't hide behind the piece. You can't just sort of let your fingers run. And of course I'm going to have to take them right off to finish them, but there you go. Comes out just right. Well, I mounted the hardware today, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. I'll zoom in here a hair. So I bent it all, and drilled the holes, and everything seems okay. I put the top, just laying it on there. It's cut out, but there's no table edge on it yet. So we've got that to do, and then carve the baby butt corners.